Hi, everyone. Welcome to Landlord Lessons, the secret no one tells landlords about building wealth. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We're really glad you're here. Maybe as we're waiting, as people are joining and getting into the meeting, if you could let us know in the comments where you are joining from, that would be excellent. My name is Stephen Harmer. I'm the president of FrontLobby. I have the pleasure of being your host this evening. I'm going to just give it a moment while we allow people to join. All right. Well, welcome. As I said, tonight's conversation is for landlords who are doing the work, owning rentals, managing tenants, handling issues as they come up, but still feel like something is missing when it comes to building long-term wealth. Most landlords think that wealth comes from just owning more properties, more units, more money. But the real secret is this: wealth isn't created by just owning more rentals. It's created by how those rentals are run, how you manage them. And really, that's what we're looking at unpacking together here this evening. We're going to look at how decisions are made, what landlords actually see in their numbers, where accountability may quietly break down, how small inconsistencies can add up and have a big impact over time. We're also going to ask you to join tonight in a short live exercise. It's designed to help you identify where that wealth may be quietly leaking today from your rental business, whether it's through unpaid time, uncertainty, missed opportunity. So this is not just going to be a sit back and listen session. Yes, we're going to have some questions, but we're also going to encourage you to participate, to reflect, and be honest with yourself about your business as we progress. I am joined tonight by an exceptional panel, bringing together three perspectives that landlords rarely have the opportunity to hear in one setting. Kayla Andrade, who works on the front lines of rental housing, is a longtime landlord and a powerful advocate for the housing industry. Michael Ponte is an experienced real estate investor who helps landlords move from reactive decision-making to repeatable strategies that support long-term growth. Lisa Elle is a financial strategist and best-selling author. She works with her clients to bring clarity, organization, and intentional planning to their finances and investments. Together, our three panelists will really share what they see holding landlords back and what they see actually moving things forward. So before we begin, just a couple quick housekeeping notes. Sometimes Zoom will pick the wrong audio device. So if you're having any audio trouble, click that little arrow next to the mic icon and switch your input or output as necessary. You can also manage the view that you want by selecting either speaker or gallery view. We're going to have the chat open for everyone tonight, and we encourage you to participate in the chat. But if you have questions, please use the Q&A tab, because we're going to be tracking our questions there, and we're going to hopefully have some time at the end where we can answer as many of those questions as possible. Of course, the webinar is also being recorded. We'll send the recording to everyone who registered, and we'll add some highlights from this evening. We encourage you to stay with us until the end. Hopefully we'll make it exciting so that you'll want to do that. We're also going to be sharing some practical takeaways that you can apply right away. This is really our agenda, Secrets of Building Wealth. We're going to have a little bit of a Q&A with our panel. We're going to go to a live audience exercise, and then we're going to close with some questions from all of you. So with all that, let's get started. I'm going to start by asking a question. The question is, what is the most common inconsistency that quietly limits landlord wealth? Michael, can I direct that first question to you as a starting point?
Oh, I'm the first one. So excited. Anyway, thanks everybody for very, very excited. I think Kayla set that up for me, actually. So just to begin with, Steve, I'm sorry for my radio voice, a little bit sick, but I'm committed, ready to have some fun with this. So the question was limiting of wealth. Maybe just kind of quickly rephrase it again, if you don't mind. Just
Sure, yeah. The question is, what's the most common inconsistency that quietly limits landlord wealth?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is not really understanding why people get into this in the first place, clarity to their goals, to be really honest with you. I think a lot of people just say, you know what, I'm going to buy a piece of real estate and things are going to just happen because there's this misconception that real estate is a very passive business, which it really absolutely is not. And the key word that I just referenced is the term business. So regardless if you're owning a condo or a townhome, a lot of people just say, I'm going to buy a piece of real estate, then money's just going to come in my pocket every single day, and then that's just the way it is. But you have to treat this like a business, and I think that's going to be the foundation of today's discussion amongst all of these wonderful other panelists as well. But it is that belief that, I'm going to be a landlord versus an entrepreneur, and I'm hoping to kind of change some of that mindset today, just based on some of the things that I really, really believe in, especially some of the stuff that we teach. So,
Nice.
Right. Anybody want to layer in? They're welcome to. Otherwise, I can move on to the next question. And you kind of led into that nicely, Michael, because you mentioned that really this is a business. And so this next question really is, where do landlords make exceptions in their rental business that they would never accept in any other business?
Ooh, I want to do that one.
Jump in.
I think this is where, if you look at landlording, you look at any other business, but we're in any other business where you provide a service and don't get paid. So I
mhm.
think this is where we have to identify that it is a business. You need to make sure that your payment is on time, it's in full, that you're tracking it. You're able to report it, obviously, to the government to make the numbers work for you. But you do need to make sure that you're using the proper systems in place in order to be able to track this type of payment history as well. Deep down, when we put in accountability and tools in place, this is more about removing that personal tension in your business when you're working that. But we provide a service, and you can't have your emotions so attached to your business that it's impacting your ability to think properly and act quickly and being proactive. And education is going to help you get to that stance in your business.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in there too. Can I jump in?
You
Yeah.
sure
Okay,
can,
I
please,
think
Lisa.
I think kind of like tailoring into the first question, the second question, it's a lot of landlords are treating this like still a side hustle when it is actually a business. And that's huge. So here's the whole thing. We need to have consistent structure and financial organization, says Lisa. This is what I preach on and I
Yes.
harp on all the time. So, like, here we go, like inconsistent financial tracking. Are you reviewing your monthly cash flow every month? Do you know your true return on your equity or your capital reserves? Like, what's happening with that? Poor tax planning. You have no coordinated personal and corporate or long-term capital gain strategy. So this is another big thing too. And just in general, like having processes for everything. I think just in general, people aren't treating this like a real business, because a real business needs all of those things.
Lisa, you mentioned a couple things there, which kind of lead into this next question, which really is about what information do landlords think they're tracking, but usually aren't or are not effectively, and how does that hold them back in terms of wealth creation over time?
Yeah, well, I'll continue on then.
Yeah, go for it.
So looking at, okay, so true return on equity, like most people just track their rents and their mortgage payments and a few things, but very few actually like track what their equity is actually earning. If a property is doubled in value, but cash flow hasn't improved, so the return on equity may be quietly shrinking. So just things like that. Because idle equity is expensive. Like, it's just making sure that all your dollars are working for you. That's what you want, is all your money is working for you, little soldiers. Tracking real cash flow after all costs. Another thing too, I always think about is, and I see this a lot, is creating contingency funds too. A lot of people don't just remember to do capital expenditure forecasting. That's just, it's the funniest thing. I don't know why people always are surprised when something goes wrong. But this is something I've dealt with for 25 years is, oh, the furnace went, or, oh, there's just, oh, I had unexpected expenses. If I had $1 for every email I got from a client that said that, I need to pull money out of my investments account because of this, this, and this. So that is where we really just need to really plan for that too. And
I
also
think
just like lifetime tax implications. Like I love what Michael said. It's like, what are your goals? What are you working toward? Right?
Mhm.
What do you want? What do you want at the end of the day? Do you want to pass this money? Like, do you want to pass these properties down to your kids or not? That kind of a thing. So I always say like wealth grows when you can track performance, right? Like this is a system. And if you treat it like that, like a business, then you're going to make money if you have the system in place, right?
Steve, I just want to jump in because you talked about the whole capital expenditures and things like that, and giving the landlords like the tips to be looking at the above the guideline rent increase. I know tenants don't like their rent increases; it sucks. But when you are dealing with like rent control in many different provinces, like sometimes a above the guideline rent increase application, when you are doing that type of capital expenditures, can help just a little bit. It sucks when you have to do it, but at the same time, again, it's you got to put that business hat on and realize that there is some little tools and tricks that you can kind of be utilizing because deep down you have a property that you're providing to the tenants to live in, and it's your duty to maintain it. But the tenants also have they're actually going to be able to benefit from having these type of expenditures happening to their property, and they're going to be able to benefit too. And I think that's where that balance of relationship happens. So always look into like seeking out paralegals to help you with an AGI, and definitely find out what it is in your province as well.
Yeah, I'm just going to add into this a little bit. I think it's really important what everybody just said. Like, great, what a great panel we have here. I didn't really have to say too much, but I like to talk for those that don't
2, 3.
necessarily
Watch
know, right?
your hips.
So, oh, yep,
There,
somebody's
that was
talking.
better.
Sorry, mute yourself.
Keep them underneath. Good, Anna.
Sorry.
I'm gonna have to mute
Mute
that one
her.
person, so I'm not sure who that is. But anyway, somebody's
Okay.
having a great baseball game, regardless. Anyway, so
Yeah, it's
so what I would actually say in this segment is again, watch those numbers, watch those dollars, exactly like Lisa's just highlighted.
Mhm.
Because for a lot of investors that I talk to, it's funny. You ask them, what's the type of cash flow you're generating from the property? Okay, and the answer is they know the number when they acquired it, but they don't necessarily know what it is 3 years from now, 3 years later. They actually use the same numbers. Say, well, when I analyzed it, it was $300 a month. But guess what? Property taxes has gone up, insurance has gone up, and I guarantee you, if you're not paying close attention, that cash flow is just getting eroded and eroded. And as we constantly are saying right now, is treat it like a business. If you think about companies like Costco or Walmart, do you not think that they're watching their expenses and their income? Absolutely. And we need to get that entrepreneurial mindset. I know we've all been kind of taught to be investors, but we really need to look like business owners and operators. And you have to be mindful that, again, I mentioned this earlier, if you're buying a condo, you own a business and you have to treat it exactly like that. So,
Absolutely. That those some great insights from all three of you. So fantastic. Much appreciated. I guess when you're doing those things properly, when rentals are run deliberately, consistency, when you're tracking information appropriately, what changes first, and why does that matter? And what is the impact of that on long-term wealth creation?
Steve, can you maybe repeat that one more time?
Yeah, I
Sorry,
was
I'm just
just
trying to
gonna say the
understand.
Okay,
I was
same.
just
yeah.
trying to
When
understand that
when
question.
when rentals are run deliberately and consistently, what changes first, and why does that matter for long-term wealth? That's the question.
What changes first? I guess I think the biggest thing is as income's kind of constantly coming in and things are working accordingly. The first thing is everybody tends to just get relaxed and in some cases kind of a little bit complacent, to be really honest with you. It's just like take the time to, when things are running really, really well, take that into account. But my suggestion would be is just start to also plan for kind of other obstacles in the future. I think the biggest thing that I tend to find is when things are working well, people just get a little bit kind of complacent and just kind of just forget that there are challenges that tend to kind of come up. If not today, it'll be happening tomorrow. But I think the most successful investors that I know is when things are running really, really, really well, it comes to a point that Lisa brought up earlier. Yes, it's great to generate cash flow and put it in your pocket, but make sure you're putting some of that capital aside for reserve funds in the future because you know what? Those expenses will come. It's going to
Mhm.
happen. And the more you pre-plan in advance during times of stability, it will help you in the long run.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think you come into like when things are running smoothly, you're getting those fewer text messages, the emotional debates that go back and forth with the landlords and the tenants. You're dealing with like less negotiating back and forth based on your issues when it's running smoothly. And then you don't have to explain the policies of your rental units over and over and over again. And when everything is clearly structured, the landlords stop reacting and really start leading.
I think that's good. I also want to throw in there, I think it's interesting because I think a lot of people still sometimes treat their rental properties like it's passive income, but I think going back to its business income and it's going to require hours and work.
Mm.
So kind of like just piggybacking off both what Michael and Kayla said. So
And it's
yeah.
it's like it's a game, right? Like when you think about Monopoly and knowing that everyone represents real estate as Monopoly. So when you have a building and let's say it's 6 units and one becomes empty, you want to put money into that, make it look fantastic, and then ask the other tenants, do you want to move over into that unit? Someone who is already paying really could be lower, start moving the tenants around, getting them positioned to what that unit has to offer them and fits their needs a little bit better. Connect with your community. So if you have someone that like I have right now who is in my 2 bedroom, she's pregnant with her second child, and they need something bigger. And I just rented my 3 bedroom. I was so upset because these people are fantastic. And now it's about connecting within your community to be like, hey guys, I do have a great tenant. They are paying on time in full. I can verify this because I do report their rental payment history to FrontLobby. It's impacted on their credit. So that way, when the other landlord does the credit check, because don't just take them just because I'm telling you to take them. You need to make sure you're doing the credit check. At least I know as a landlord was able to report that payment history for those tenants. So as they're looking for the next one, we're helping them out as well. So always even trying to build up our tenants as much as we possibly can to transition them out of rentals and get them as homeowners as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say the other thing when the business is running smoothly, it does allow you as a landlord to step back a little bit and think about the bigger picture. Think about the market, the macro situation, whether you're ready for, maybe now you can take on another unit or another rental property, or maybe you want to sell a property or whatever it might be. But getting out of the day-to-day distraction of a poorly run business where you're extremely reactive all the time and
Mhm.
allowing you to have a little bit of time to think and strategize is important really for building that business long term as well.
And even for our inspections, like inspections are so, so important, especially when you're paying for utilities and you're going inside of these rental units. And when a tenant is not paying for the utilities, sometimes they fail to tell you that there's a leak that's been happening for quite some time. And that is every drop is money coming out of your pocket and out of your wealth. So you really want to kind of get into a habit of doing inspections. I know it sucks because we're the big greedy landlords coming in to do an inspection, but just tell them that we're doing it for their safety. Tell them that we're doing it to make sure that the building is operating properly, that there's no future issues that would result in potential damages that could result in them having to vacate. And at the same time, you're making sure that all your utilities that you're utilizing at that rental property is not sucking the life out of you. And again, doing inspections when, sometimes tenants have the windows open and heat's on, right? So doing these little type of inspections can help you even as an investor, just helping that day-to-day monthly bills that obviously can really suck your wealth.
Yep, love that.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, thanks very much, everyone. Gonna switch gears here a little bit now, and Michael, I know you're gonna lead us in a great session. If I can hand it over to you to take it away and really help us think about how the business is currently running and what can we learn from what we're seeing today and how can we evolve it going forward.
Yeah, I think I can like run this through a little quick exercise. I'm going to ask everybody just to fully participate, everybody. And it goes right back to kind of an earlier comment that that I referenced earlier is about really understanding your goals and having clarity to that. Because by understanding that, it dictates everything. The types of properties that you acquire, how you properly manage your investments, just everything. So everybody grab a pen and paper if you haven't already. And I really want you guys to ask yourselves one really simple question. What do I want from this real estate investing thing? So I'm just going to ask you guys and put this on a list. Be a little bit greedy in this capacity and say, okay, what do I want? Okay. Maybe Stephen, you want a boat. Maybe Kayla wants a nice vacation property. Lisa wants some really fancy wine from the Okinawa. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, be a little bit greedy. Write it down. I've got only like 45 seconds and just kind of write as much as you want down. What do I want from this real estate investing thing? Why did I get into this in the first place? And try to think about tangible stuff, okay? Like things that are really going to be, again, I referenced a boat. Maybe it's traveling a lot more. What is it that you really, really want? And as you guys are writing this down, put this list together, throw it in the chat as well. I'd like to really get a better sense of some of the things that you want. Let's engage, guys. Let's participate, because this is really all for you. You know, Lisa's here, Kayla's here, Steven's here. We're all here for you. So the more you engage, the more you participate, the better it's going to be for everybody, okay? So as you guys are writing things down, what is one of those things that you truly, truly want in your being as a real estate investor, okay? So put that in the chat for me so I can see it, okay? Now, what I'm also going to do is quickly share my screen so everybody can kind of see this, because I do want to showcase what this kind of looks like. And again, I haven't seen anybody posting anything on the chat, so that means nobody wants anything, so that's a little disappointing. Okay, so let's see what you guys want, okay? So what do you want from this real estate retirement income? Laura, thank you for that. Travel with family. Dawn, great to see you here. So Laura, retirement income, put a magic number there. Hubby wants a boat. Awesome, Kayla. So do I, right? Financial peace, wealth, generational wealth. Good stuff, okay? So think about this. What do you want, okay? Put that magic number in there. And then what I would like you guys to do is, what is that going to cost you, okay? Think about what your big number is going to be. So Kayla, if I pick on you for a second, how much is that boat that your hubby wants? Okay, you don't have to yell it out loud, but just think about it. Rob wants fire. Somebody wants more doors.
Well, we have 4 kids, so he needs a big boat. So it's about I think it's about 300,000 and that's like,
good.
It's not a fancy boat, it's just a big boat.
Good. Love it. Okay, so 300,000. Okay, so that's excellent. Now, as I'm seeing all of these things that are being referenced in the chat, great to see you, Todd. I see a lot of familiar faces of our Savvy Squad members. I love you guys to death. I want you guys to think about this from a monthly perspective. Look at what you want. How much is that going to cost you? If I use Kayla's example, how much is that going to cost on a monthly basis to do the things that you want to do? So I want you guys to take a moment just to do that. What is your magic number per month that you want, to live the life that you were wanting to live? So Heidi, I see you in the chat there as well. Travel and retirement income. What's your magic number to live that lifestyle that you want? And it can be whatever it is, but I want to see those numbers on the chat. Kim, 25K per month. Throw it out there, dude. Just be authentically you. It could be 100,000. It could be as low as 5,000. It doesn't really matter. Let's understand why we're doing this real estate investing thing in the first place. Okay, 30K per month. Todd, thank you for sharing. What else? More.
Is this take home?
Pardon me?
Is this take home 30 and 25? Like, are we talking about like
take home income?
Okay.
I want take home income. What's your magic number? 12K, 10K. Come on, keep going. So your sound is often, okay, I'm going to try to get my microphone in a little bit closer. 10K per month, okay, for travel. Love that. Help the kids. Okay, keep throwing it out there. I want to see some of your magic numbers, okay? So this is something that I want you to really think about, okay? We all got into this for a particular reason. And I'm going to make the assumption a lot of individuals wanted to do this for time freedom. Kayla, you probably hear this all the time. Lisa, you probably definitely hear this all the time, is this time freedom thing. But what happens is, this is the objectives that we're striving for. This is the magic number that we're trying to accomplish. And everything should be driven to accomplish that magic number. So the types of deals you're looking for, we mentioned this earlier, that the properties are not cash flowing. Okay, then why the heck are we buying this property in the first place? Because if it's not getting me closer to my goal, then why am I doing this? I think we've got all bigger, better things to do with our lives than manage an investment property that's not going to produce. And then the second part to this exercise is this. Whatever your number is, and I'm going to ask you guys, how bad do you want the things that are on your list? How bad do you want it? Okay? Because if you want it bad enough, then you will do anything you possibly can to make that happen. And the real question that you got to ask yourself, I saw a boat, I saw lots of things, 25K per month. You will have to determine that you're probably going to be owning a lot of properties to accomplish that number. And you also have to come to the realization that you can't do it all on your own. And when I say that, That means hiring a bookkeeper like Lisa, okay, or an accountant or a wealth strategist, okay, or getting the support from our friends at FrontLobby, or hiring a property manager or a bookkeeper. Mura, beautiful systems, okay, because a lot of investors go into this thinking that I can do this all on my own, treating it not like a business, but just as a property. And then what happens is they've become a full-time, they've just created another full-time job versus running it like a business. If you think of like Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, do you actually see him driving around the truck delivering packages? Of course not. It sounds ridiculous. And we have to go with that same mindset as well. We can't be a jack of all trades. So understand, it is about systems. It is about managing this appropriately. But more importantly, if you guys haven't done this exercise about having clarity to what you want, that is the first thing you need to do. Is why are we doing this real estate investing thing in the first place? What's your magic number, right? Because when you understand your number that you need to achieve, it actually dictates the types of properties that you need to be acquiring. It also helps Lisa, if I use her as an example for elements, because she's going to ask you the same question. What's your magic number? What are you striving for? So, and she's laughing because it's the truth. If you don't know where this thing is going to take you, then it's going to be very, very difficult to accomplish that objective because you don't even know. But that's how it starts. Understand what your magic number is, start to proceed accordingly, and also understand that if you're going to be owning several different properties, you're going to need a solid team to help support you. This jack of all trades thing does not work. How do I know? Been there, done that, didn't work, okay? So hopefully that's been a helpful exercise. Continue on, guys. Throw your numbers in. I want to be motivated by some of the things that you are engaging with. So please continue on. I hope that helps, Stephen.
I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think it's great. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Because deep down, like I retired at 20 with the kids at home because of our real estate. And now I'm able to think about that boat because we just have that enough to keep me home. And now my husband just retired at 40 and we're working for ourselves. And he's doing the renovations, he's doing the property management, he's doing the snow removal soon as it happens. So investing in, I think, in yourself as an entrepreneur as well is so key. I'm watching some comments in there about, property managers suck. Not all of them, not all of them. But if you don't have one in your area, then yes, you need to make sure that you're stepping up your education and you're stepping up all the tools that are available to us now because we're in 2026. We have a lot of tools, and we need to make sure that we're utilizing them to really enhance our business. And we also have to screen our property managers just as much as we screen our tenants. Just because they have something on a website and they say they do that and another thing, and you just think that they're going to manage the properties, you really got to make sure you're following up with that property manager, biweekly, monthly, doing some check-ins, just to see how things are running. Just because you can't just let them take over something that you work so hard for and think that they have it the same interest at heart. And we always know landlords, we tend to do it ourselves if we're really educated and make sure that we don't do any screw ups. So we need to know that there's so many bumps in the road that you could trip up over if you don't stay in the know of what's happening in your community and within your province.
That's great. Anybody else want to add into that at all?
I'm good.
Um,
That was good, Kayla.
I don't know. I'm trying to keep up with I want to read all the comments. Like I get distracted I should have it closed. But it's true. And they also talk about real estate agents too, sucking when it comes down to tenant screening, right? So, it's not a hard thing to do. You just need to make sure that you have the systems like FrontLobby's credit checks. You can do it yourself. Making sure that you have a strong application, having those that little clause in there that's giving the tenant, giving you the permission to pull their credit, never accept a credit check from the tenant, working that system in there and setting those strong boundaries before these tenants become tenants. Talking about rent needs to be paid on time and in full. We don't tolerate any late payments. I report your monthly payment history to FrontLobby, and then making sure you're using all the tools, even Google their name, guys, and zoom up on their pictures on Facebook.
Yep. Love
I'm
that.
I'm so creepy, but you know what? It's a business. We need to treat it as such, and we know that there's a lot of people that are honestly just criminals in the system, and we need to make sure that we're providing the right unit to the right tenant. And there is great tenants out there. I don't mean to scare anybody, but we do need to make sure that we're doing our diligence and doing the screening ourselves as well. If
Yep.
we're not expecting someone with experience doing it for us.
Thanks, Kayla. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that we see the landlords really struggle with. They have a lot of unpaid time in their business if they don't manage it properly. For example, they chase tenants, they chase unpaid bills, they do their own bookkeeping. Michael, you mentioned, having the right team around you to support you. Often trying to do everything by yourself, especially when it's areas where you don't have much experience, means that first of all, you may not do the job properly, and you may take a lot of time to do to get to a place where it's good enough. There's that means basically you're spending a lot of hours with issues that could be avoided if you had the right team in place to support you in the process. And I think that's really critical, especially if you want to get to scale, if you want to get to the 10,000 a month or 25,000 a month, the $300,000 boat. You have to treat every hour as an investment, and you have to make sure that you're getting the return for your time, but you're also leveraging the talent and the expertise that you need when you don't have that expertise yourself. Otherwise, you're spinning your wheels, you're wasting time, you're making mistakes as well, which can be costly, or putting off decisions. Those kinds of things can hurt you in the long term, and it can lead to a lot of opportunity costs as well. Even when you're analyzing properties, right? Having a team around you that can help you analyze. Lisa, you talked about, capital gains considerations, your return on equity considerations, all those kinds of things are things that it's really hard for a single individual to know. Like, very few businesses are one person or a couple. Most businesses have a support team, and I think that's a critical thing that you guys brought up as well.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to shout out for the comments like Laura here. She said, treat tenants well and they will treat you well. I think that is great. And it's like, you get to say that we're experts on the screen, but you got to really look at each other's comments in here, because that is true. And that's another way of protecting your wealth, is making sure that you're treating your tenants that you currently have, who pay on time, who treat the place like a home, and the other tenants at that property. And we need to make sure that we're showing them respect as well, because without them, you don't got a business and you go out of
They
business.
are your customer at the end of the
They
day,
are your
right?
customers.
Right.
Yep. And
So yeah,
they're paying thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a year. So imagine treating your customers poorly. You're just not going to have customers at the end of the day. And that's just the way it is. And if you treat it that way, they'll take care of you, they'll take care of your property, show respect. And again, sometimes, us as landlords think of tenants in a negative light. They are your customers. And it's funny the other way around too. But we have great relationships with our clients. And I think the more you can foster harmony as a landlord tenant relationship, it just makes life so much easier in so many different ways. And try to foster that in your business for sure.
well, and it's contagious as well, right, Michael, in the sense that
100%.
it's your brand, right? It's your
Yeah.
reputation. You're probably your best tenants in the future are ones that were recommended by your current tenants today that you're taking good care of. And so it's like in any business, like if you can have really positive word of mouth, it's the most effective way to grow your business for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that a little bit too, because I think truthfully is, as you guys are also wanting to scale, and I see a lot of people wanting to scale, and you may own that condo, 1 bedroom condo, and just like life happens, then all of a sudden people get married and then they have kids, and it's exactly like you said, Steve, build your brand, and they'll maybe ask you and say, hey, Mike, I love you, I want to stay with you. Hopefully they all say that. And now I want to kind of upgrade to a 2 bedroom. And you know what they're going to ask is, do you have any 2 bedrooms available, or a
Mhm.
3 bedroom, or a townhouse, or whatever? You
Mhm.
can help them in their life path as well. So as you scale and you've built this culture and brand, they will follow you to other assets that you may want to own as well. And I think that's something all of us should strive for. Is, again, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we want to maintain our customers. And sometimes as their lives evolve, we need to make sure that we can support them as they evolve.
That's
Mhm.
exactly what I do. Even when I'm screening tenants, like, hey, this is my rental unit. You do have, if we pick you and have great payment history with us, and don't have any issues with the property and you need something bigger, let me know. I might have some other units that are available to you. If not, I'm a part of this community. I can put you out there and kind of work that relationship to let
Yep.
them know that they have to build up that behavior change. And then I pull in right away. I also be able to report your monthly payment history to help build up that tenancy record through FrontLobby and Landlord Credit Bureau. This is going to help you. Like, you got to start letting them know, like, I'm not just here to kind of take you for granted. I'm here to provide a service to you, but I also want to help you as my tenant because you're helping me run my business. I want to make sure that I'm helping them thrive for something better as well.
Mhm. Well, in the concept, in the content of what you're saying there, or sorry, the context of what you're saying there, Kayla, you're helping them build their financial profile as well, right?
Yeah.
And so in doing that, you're opening up opportunities for them for sure. Um, okay, thanks. Well, I'm going to close with a couple more questions if that's okay. Question for the group, I guess, is if there's one change that landlords in general should make in the next 30 days, um, to get to the numbers that we're seeing here, to get to those goals that they've set for themselves, what is the most important thing that they can do to get started?
I'll go.
Go, Lisa, go.
I like what I see all the time is do you even have a bookkeeper? If you don't have a bookkeeper, get one. I
Hmm.
had a client this week email, why do we, and they have real estate portfolio and they're like, why do we even need to use QuickBooks? So I had to like give them 5 paragraphs of why they needed to use a proper like bookkeeping service, right? Because if you get audited by CRA. So if you don't have a bookkeeper, get a bookkeeper. If you have a bookkeeper, try to book like a standing appointment once a month with your bookkeeper for like 1 hour, 30 minutes, even 30 minutes, let's say 30 minutes.
Hmm.
I want you to be on top of your monthly financials.
Hmm.
That's a
That's
hard
critical.
goal, but I'm going to say, hey, because I can't tell you how many clients have come to us and said, hey, we want to have monthly financials. Well, the problem is this is a two-way street. This is a relationship. And you need to provide your half of the information so we can actually do your bookkeeping. So if you're not sending me bank statements and all those things, we can't really do your bookkeeping. So just like I encourage you to get a bookkeeper if you have one, have a standing like appointment to go over financials. Make that your goal. And if monthly is too much, then go quarterly. But either way, it's so good to know your numbers. This helps with all the other tax planning because what I see too is that a lot of landlords are not taking into consideration the tax aspect. They're running their numbers as if it's all, I mean, this goes for all business owners I see there.
Hmm.
They're just like, oh, I made $10,000, but no, you actually did it because, oh, you really made 6,000 after tax.
Forgot those costs.
Just that kind of a thing. Just be aware of that. So that's my challenge to all of you tonight.
That's a great one. So, Lisa, there's a related question in the Q&A or in the chat from Amin around number crunching. So the question is number crunching. What are important KPIs like rent per square foot, rent as a percentage of cost? What would you call out as sort of the most important KPIs when you're on top of those monthly numbers? What should you be tracking?
Okay, well, this really is a personal question. Like it really is like going back to have you identified your ultimate goals so we can
Hmm.
actually track the right KPIs. So,
Hmm.
but I mean, basically, like there's different KPIs like, how much has your property appreciated? Are you, for how much you've invested? What's your return on equity, like return on investment? Are you getting enough like net rent every month? I mean, there's so many different KPIs, but this is where you would sit down with your accountant or your bookkeeper or someone like me, like a wealth strategist, and actually pinpoint what it is we need to track so we know, and then we can track it. And then you do like lay it out on a, a spreadsheet, and you're tracking it either once a year or every quarter or monthly to see if you're actually growing and heading in the right direction.
Yeah, because as you say, it is always personal, and as your goals are personal, you kind of need to figure out what are the steps and what are the things that I need to track to get to those specific goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to add a little bit into that if that's okay, just because this is
Absolutely.
my
Go for
field
it,
as well.
Michael.
So
Yeah.
I'm a nerd when it comes to numbers. Probably not as nerdy as Lisa, but I'm pretty close, I would think. But but not a nerd. She's a good-looking nerd, right? But anyway, I think how's that? Is that better, Lisa? Okay,
That's much better. Thank you.
much better. Sorry about that. But from a KPI perspective, I'm just reading some of the reference. I mean, great question actually. I'll just share one for myself. Everybody's goals are very, very different. I think it's really, really important to us, especially when it comes to KPIs in regards to rent increases based on percentages, reduction of income, all those types of things. But as you guys are doing kind of analysis, and I'm thinking that's probably where that reference is going to be, and it does have variations to this. Income to expense ratio is somewhere in the area around 42 to 44%. That's kind of really what the magic number is. Just for those that don't know what that means, rental income minus all expenses, not including mortgage. Okay, your expenses should not exceed kind of that 45% range. If it does, then you either got holes in the ship, as I always say, is you got holes in the boat. That means some of the expenses are getting out of line, number one. Number two, maybe your income is too low. And number three, maybe it's an opportunity to acquire this property at a lower price. But that means you have to kind of find a way to facilitate this, because as you're going through the process of financing, that percentage that I'm sharing with you is very similar to debt service and what the banks are looking for at that 42 to 44% range. So if you're looking for a clear metric, that's just one. Is that really going to support a good investment or not? No. It goes right back to your goals. So to be very, very clear. And so KPIs can be measured in many different ways. Like we have KPIs for this coming year of rent increases and income increases and stuff like that, and how we're tracking that. Reduction of expenses. So we're looking at all of those things. And I wanted to answer your question, Stephen, about the 30 days thing. And so if I can go right into that, I think
Sure.
for every real estate investor right now, and for me, as I mentioned earlier, I like to geek out on numbers. We should all be very mindful that we're seeing rents kind of dropping all over the country. It's just really what it is. It's a common trend right now. It's expectation. And my advice to everybody in the next 30 days is be very, very proactive. If you got leases coming due in the next few months, April, May, or June, get on top of this today. Try to get early renewals as quickly as you possibly can, because if you guys are all going to try to renew these leases at exactly the same time as everybody else, then what's going to happen is there's lots of competition, lots of inventory, and unfortunately, one of the things that's probably going to come down is maybe rent. So the more you can actually be very proactive in this, the more success you'll have to try to maintain the rent levels that you're at. So that would be my bit of advice.
And Michael, in that context, should I be looking to maintain the rent levels, or should I be looking to maintain good tenants at market levels today?
I would try to, it's kind of a combination of both, to be really honest with you. I think at the end of the day, by getting ahead of the game right now, it's going to reduce the risk of actually reduction of rent, right? So if you have great quality tenants and you try to renew them early, my advice is provide them a little incentive. Maybe it's like, I don't know, a $200 gift card for, I don't know, Home Depot or whatever it is, any type of an incentive to keep them. Or here's something even really fun, okay? Why not say, if you stay for the next year and we're not raising the rents, we're going to keep the rent, I'm going to paint the entire unit for you, okay? But guess what? You probably needed to do it anyway. So why not keep the existing tenants in there and you get to repaint it as well? So they find that there's a little perk for them to stay on.
Great. Thank
I
you.
want to chime in on my little,
Chime away,
I'm
Kayla.
putting
Chime
my
away.
advocacy hat on right now. No matter where you are in the country, I think we're seeing a lot of changes with policies and municipal bylaws that are happening that it actually increases the landlord's expenses to their property. I think it's more important than ever that our community is paying attention to what's happening from our elected officials. Because if you can speak up and try to stop a bylaw or a policy that's going to cost you a license just to renovate, a license for landlord licensing, the fact that you're going to be paying for your tenants' delinquent utility bills, it's important for you to really pay attention. I know we don't really want to talk about politics very often, but believe it or not, and it's the honest, hard truth, is that it's very deep in the real estate industry, and we need to make sure our landlord community is paying attention to what's happening and how to speak up. And you can speak up professionally, and I believe they do want to hear what you have to say. We just need to be more organized in how we say it, but definitely pay attention to what's happening because there is policies that are being introduced that is going to be costly and literally hit your pocketbook.
Again, another reason to have some contingency in your planning for sure. Great, thank you. I'm looking at a couple of the questions coming through the Q&A in the chat. Maura asks about systems, and systems also add overhead. That overhead is manageable only if we have a certain number of properties, right? Is that the right way to look at that? Anybody want to pick that up?
Say that again?
System adds overhead, meaning costs, right? Overhead is only manageable if you have own a certain number of properties. So do you need a system for one property, or do you just need do you need systems in place when you are at scale?
I think systems continue to grow as you continue to grow, to be really honest with you. But my advice is this: you should be building a lot of that stuff in your analysis from day one. Okay, so for example, Lisa and her team being in bookkeeping and accounting. Okay, I hate bookkeeping. I don't want to do bookkeeping, but I will build that into my analysis. So if I have to do it right now, I know that over time I can eventually transfer it over to Lisa, but I've already budgeted that into the number. Same with property management services and fees. That should be built into your analysis from day one. And I want to be really clear on this one. If your numbers don't work with property management or bookkeeping fees from the very beginning, and I might get a little bit of flack on this, but that's okay. It was a real bad deal to begin with, to be really honest with you, because you cannot scale if you have to always do the management and you have to do always the bookkeeping. It's unsustainable to own 50 units and try to do that all on your own. It's very, very difficult. Okay. It's just not. So the more you build that in from the very beginning, the better it's going to be. And I want to kind of dig more into that question before I pass it on to my colleagues here, is that systems you will continue as you grow and more incomes comes in. And Lisa, you may agree with me on this or not, but you do want to reinvest it back into your business. You want to take some of those proceeds and to build better systems. And I look at real estate like this: you scale, plateau. And during that plateau is putting systems and streamlining, grow, plateau, and then you put more systems into place. But now you've got some revenue kind of coming in and you're reinvesting it to simplify your life. And it goes right back to a comment you mentioned earlier, Steve. It's just like, you can't be that lone wolf doing all of these things. You have to find ways to get that freedom back in your life. And that's why we started to do this in the beginning. So don't think you have to implement all of this at the same time. But some of the foundational ones, as my advice for a lot of my students, always budget for bookkeeping, always budget for property management. If your numbers do not work with that, then you've got to maybe either find a different location, but definitely got to find a different property. So
right, I think that's excellent. Yeah, systems will scale as you scale, but you need to be ahead of the game a little bit. You need to stay one step ahead for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Another question is there's let's see, a FrontLobby question: how a tenant consents to ID verification and rent reporting on FrontLobby, and when should they do that before signing the agreement? We're going to follow up on that question, I think, because there's a bit to unpack in there, but we'll send you an email, Azita, to give you a proper answer to that, because that's very FrontLobby sort of platform specific. Let's see, is there an issue if I do my own bookkeeping? Is there an alternate to QuickBooks? Do you think there's a point what is the point where it becomes essential to outsource? Maybe Lisa, you could try a stab at that question.
Sorry, just say that again. Sorry, I was trying to find it in the Q&A. But
yeah, is there an issue if I do my own bookkeeping? Is there an alternate to QuickBooks? Do you think there's a point where it becomes essential to outsource?
Okay, yes. You can do your own bookkeeping. In fact, if you have like 1 or 2 properties, you can. But I get clients to meet with me first so I can make sure what the information they're collecting is the right information. So at least have the conversation with your accountant to make sure you know exactly that you're collecting all the right information, just to make sure you're not missing anything. So it just makes it easier than having to go back after the fact and try and hunt everything down. There is free software out there. Here's a tip. Wave has free bookkeeping software, but if you are doing anything higher end, we still use QuickBooks. There's a whole bunch of, solid bookkeeping software out there, but there are some free versions. And I know Wave is one of those options. But again, these are things you want to look at and know if you can like transfer them one day as you grow to like QuickBooks. Just having those conversations and asking all those questions is really, really important. But yes, you can do it yourself. Just know that, track how much time it's taking you. And if you hate it and it's causing you stress and it's the last thing you're doing, if it's the first thing you're doing, great, and you love it and it makes you smile, do it. If it makes you want to curse, then I suggest you outsource it, because like I say to everyone about everything, protect your energy. Your energy is what's going to keep you in business longer. If you hate it, you're going to quit, and I don't want you to quit. So hire help for all these things.
That's such good advice, Lisa. The things you love, definitely do them and keep doing them. The things you hate, definitely find ways to get somebody else to take those off your plate, for sure. And
as she was talking, I was thinking like my husband back in the day, he would sit at the table and he's there with this little calculator that printed off all the paper, and he had to, and tell the accountants like, we're going to give you an account with QuickBooks. I have access to it. Like, you don't have to do that if you put it through the system. So it does really make the enjoyment of, or the nasty side of real estate a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, take advantage of the tools as they evolve. For sure, they make your life easier. Question here, there was some discussion in the chat about property management. And so the question from Zachary is, what do you guys look for in a property manager? What are the most desirable traits?
Oh, can I go?
Oh.
One, I prefer someone a little bit smaller, not so much bigger as a property management company, just because I want to make sure that they have all the people and the resources at their fingertips to be able to deal with my unit. I like to know that the property manager has years of experience in tenant screening and in handling disputes. Disputes are very much key. Even as a property manager, I did that for a very, very, very short time. So shout out to the property managers out there, because it does, it's not an easy business, because sometimes landlords can be very difficult, just as much as tenants are. So really making sure that you're connecting with that property manager as well, and they have a process in place in which you're going to connect with them on a regular basis, that they're very much as a portal to keep you in the know of what's happening, making sure that you understand their programs that they're a part of. There's local community programs that do entice property managers to let them know if there's any available units, get to know what kind of programs they're a part of so that they are placing the right people into your rental unit. But you also need to make sure that they're using the right tools and procedures, like how are they doing their rent collections, what their process is about sending out the N4 in Ontario, how they deal with non-payment of rent, and are they reporting that payment history to FrontLobby so that it's shared in the credit bureau. This is something where you know that the property manager is going to help your tenant build their credit so that they can eventually want to move on, or that they put consequences in place dealing with your tenants. A lot of it's going to be about just getting reviews from other clients of theirs. I think it's very important that we get that, and testimonials from other clients, because it's not an easy pickings when it's out there for property managers. And sometimes we get people who are landlords getting themselves into property management thinking that it's easy. But you think about the systems that we need to put in place just being the landlords, they have to put bigger systems in place being the property managers. So you need to make sure that you are screening them, and multiple conversations. Don't just sign the paperwork right away with them. Multiple conversations with your property
Great.
manager.
Thanks, Kayla. Dawn, you've been patiently waiting with questions. I see you've got a couple in the chat here. The first one is, I inherited tenants with no lease agreement provided, long-term tenants. How can I add these tenants for rent reporting in the application? So first of all, you created a lease record in FrontLobby to put in the information that the bureaus need for reporting. You don't absolutely need a lease. I mean, I would encourage you, if you can, Dawn, to still try to enter into a lease agreement. You just Ontario standard lease and whatever addendums you can. But assuming you can't, you can report tenants in our platform without a lease. If they're wanting to report positive payments, meaning they're good tenants, they're paying on time, then you want to get their consent. You can do that through the platform as well. If they are delinquent tenants and you're having troubles with them, you don't require their consent to report. You can report them. You can report debts in Canada through the FrontLobby platform without tenant consent. Your second question is kind of related to that, I guess, is what happens if the tenant doesn't agree to the rent reporting email in FrontLobby? Does it still get reported? So that really comes down to one thing: is if you're reporting positive payments in Canada, positive rental payments, you do need tenant consent to report that. I would encourage everybody here to make sure that consent clause is in your leases going forward if it's not already. You can get it from the FrontLobby website. We're happy to provide it. If they owe you rental payments, if they're in a debt situation, then you do not need consent, and you can still report it without their permissions, basically. Looking at the time here, we got a couple more minutes.
Squeeze it in.
What's that?
Squeeze it in.
Let's see if there's another question here that I can pull up. It's hard to keep track of what's going on here, but
no, I love that when the one comment they talked about, like they do it themselves, but for the property managers outside of the area that they live in, they're getting problems with their property management company as well. So it's definitely great to be learning from each other and trying to figure out who's who, and let us know who's who. which ones are you having problems with?
Yeah.
So there's a question here, and Michael, you kind of walked us through this partly. So the question is, what's the first step if my records feel messy and overwhelming? Maybe Mike, I'll direct that to you. What's the first step if my records feel messy and overwhelming?
The records itself? Well, I think it's like working with Lisa. It's probably a better question for Lisa, to be honest with you, is if you feel like you've got a shoebox full of stuff and you're feeling overwhelmed, stop being overwhelmed and give it to Lisa, who loves shoeboxes, right? And I'm not a shoebox person. I like giving my shoebox to Lisa to take care of this stuff.
But let's
I
be
think that's
clear.
the important part.
I like shoeboxes with shoes in them.
Right.
I much prefer that.
Well, that might come after you get the shoebox of receipts, but I think that's the way it should work, right? Now, anyway, but I am going to pass this off to Lisa, but truthfully is like, I think the important part is just like any business, guys, you have to be organized and buttoned down. And again, I get it. You don't like doing that stuff, but that's why you have to hire the people that actually do and are professional about this. Stay in your lane, like really, really stay in your lane. If you're a visionary, be that visionary in your business, grow your business, and let the professionals do what they need. They are there, that they do best. And it's exactly that. So I'm going to pass this off to Lisa because she is the best to talk about exactly this topic about getting organized. So
getting organized. Oh, that's a whole course. No, it's like half of us are naturally inclined to that, and then the other half of the planet's not.
It's getting organized when nothing's going bad, and then there's getting organized when something's going bad.
Valid.
Yeah.
Valid.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, you have to get organized before things go bad, right? Be proactive in this. Like it's from day one. And here's the other thing too. We didn't even touch on this tonight, but people always ask me, the number one question is, should I run my rentals like in my own name as a sole proprietorship, or should I run it as a corporation? Like, this is the age old question. These kind of things, if you are starting a corporation and you're running real estate through it, like you definitely then need to have like a proper bookkeeper from day one, and be organized from day one and have everything like documented and tickety-boo. A lot of people don't even understand the thing, like what's required of setting up a corporation in every province across Canada. So, these are the things I like to help clients with, is like actually creating a wealth strategy around, how they're going to grow their investments, whatever the investments are, right? So, yeah.
I know there are more questions and more coming in. We're not going to have time to get to everything tonight, but what we will do, continue to put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat, especially in the Q&A. We're going to take stock of all these questions that we haven't had time to get to tonight, and we are going to follow up. So if you do have more questions, put them in. Also, keep an eye on your inbox because we will be sending this recording out to everyone, and you can follow up with questions there as well, and you can follow up to book a call with us at FrontLobby. We're getting to time for this evening. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's been a great discussion. Really appreciate all of you spending your time with us tonight. Big thank you, especially to our panelists. Kept it fun and lively. Kayla, Michael, Lisa, thanks for sharing your insights, practical advice, really helping to shine a light on what's driving long-term business wealth for our landlords. Hopefully everybody's going to take away a few good gems and ideas that will help improve your business right away. As I said, keep an eye on your inbox. We'll be sending out the recording along with some helpful resources. One of those will be 10 free consultation slots with an expert from our team. So if we didn't get to your questions, or if you have more detailed questions about how FrontLobby can help, we can book a call and follow up there as well. So we'll put a link in the email for how to do that. I just want to say on behalf of FrontLobby, Savvy Investor, Elements Financial Group, and Ontario Landlords Watch, thanks to all of you for being here this evening. Thanks for being part of the Landlord Lessons community. Have a great weekend, or have a great evening, I should say, everybody. It's only Wednesday, so wait.
And stay tuned to the next webinar.
Yes. Keep an eye on your inbox as well. There'll be more webinars to come. So thanks so much, everyone. Really appreciate your time and your questions and conversation. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.